Hey there, yogis, and welcome back to Daily Tips for Beginners, where I share daily yoga tips to help you get started on your yoga journey. So we are back and we are on tip number 6, where we are taking the breath work that we talked about and the 3 basic poses and putting them together, integrating our breath with our movement. Now today, for this purpose, we are going to do a very short practice, really focused on sun salutation. So you'll experience mountain pose, you'll experience downward facing dog, and we may wrap up this practice with child's pose just so you can get a feel for all 3 of those basic poses that we talked about. How it feels in a daily yoga practice. So I'm going to go ahead and step back on my mat here. I'm going to try really hard to keep this video within 10 to 15 minutes. It seems to be the sweet spot for you guys. So I'm going to try really hard to get through this practice within 15 to about 15 minutes. So don't worry so much about how the movement looks today in your practice. We're really just focusing on matching the breath to our movements. And then as you get used to that, then you can work on making sure that the alignment of the poses is more correct, because alignment is important for safety reasons. So Gunner's going to join us back here, as you can see, wherever he's at there somewhere. He's going to be joining us today, but let me get on my mat and let's get started. All right. So when an instructor is usually teaching, the instructor is typically at the front of the room and they are going to call you to come into mountain pose at the top of your mat. So when I say the top of your mat, again, I'm meaning up here, but for demonstration purposes, you guys are going to see me face you here, and then I will do the poses from the side so that you guys can see all angles what it's going to look like. So the first pose that we are going to talk about is mountain pose. In sun salutations, you typically are going to start in mountain pose depending on which sun salutations you are doing. So if it's sun salutations A, you're typically going to start in a mountain pose. If it's sun salutations B, you're going to start in a chair pose. But today we're going to be focusing solely on sun salutations A. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through this sequence very slowly, really focusing on when to inhale and exhale. I'll probably demo it a few times and then we'll come back together and then we'll go through probably 3 to 4 rounds of the sun salutations at a little bit of a regular pace so that you guys can get used to the movements. Now, as I'm doing this class today or this sequence today, feel free to pause or stop the video whenever you need to practice. You don't necessarily have to worry so much about what your poses look like today, where we are focusing more on integrating the movement with the breath. And then the alignment and how it feels in your body, because we're not going to focus on how it looks, how it feels in your body is going to be an awareness that is going to come later as we continue to develop our practice. So when you're ready, I invite you to meet me at the top of your mat. Feet can be together or slightly apart, facing the top of your mat. Tailbone is tucked slightly, allowing a little bit of engagement of your glutes and engagement of your core muscles here. Standing up nice and tall, arms down by your sides, palms facing out or towards your thighs, whichever is most comfortable for you. And remember, as I talked yesterday, pretend that you've got that string at the crown of your head, pulling you up from the crown of your head, really elongating the spine, standing up nice and tall. just picture yourself tall, strong, and stable, just as a mountain. That's exactly what mountain pose is. Okay? So this is the first pose that starts our sun salutations, and it's going to end our sun salutations. So we'll start here. You'll hear me say, inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale, bend the knees slightly and fold forward. So you can see here as I'm folding forward, I'm really taking care here not to round my back. I don't know if I'm doing it that well in the picture, but round my back, I'm really focusing on keeping the back straight. So we inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale, bend the knees. Fold forward, really allowing gravity to do the work. If you're feeling some tension in your hamstrings or some tightness or pain in your glute area, remember to bend those knees. Your hamstrings aren't quite ready for that full extension yet, and that's okay. So from here, we've exhaled to forward fold. You'll hear me say inhale, halfway lift. What you're doing is you're flattening your back, bringing your palms to your shins, or you can just come onto your fingertips. Okay, really focusing on keeping the back flat. So we're bringing a flat back. Then you'll hear me say exhale, forward fold. Then the other thing that we're going to do is you'll hear me say exhale, plant both palms to the mat, hop or step back into plank. Then from here, depending on where you are in your yoga practice, you may do a knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. So if you are used to sun salutations in a yoga practice, you may take chaturanga, which really just looks like this. Just a slow, controlled way to come down to the mat. Then you're going to hear me say inhale, pushing away from the mat, extending both of your arms, broadening the shoulders. Your thighs can be lifted off the mat or on the mat in this particular pose. This is upward facing dog. And then from there, we'll exhale, untuck the toes, lift the hips, coming into our downward facing dog. So you guys know this pose, right? Remember, again, if it's tight in your hamstrings, what do? Bend our knees. This is perfectly fine for your downward facing dog. Then you'll hear me say bend the knees, walk or hop to the front of the mat. I'm a fan of walking. You may take one step, it may be 2 steps, you may be like me and it's 3 steps, but we'll be walking into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, bending the knees on our next inhale, coming up to standing. Arms to the sky, palms together, coming down to heart center. And that is the end of sun salutations. Okay, so I'm going to do it one more time a little bit faster so you get the movement. I'll probably do it 2 more times to let you guys see, and then we'll do 3 to 4 rounds together, okay? So again, coming to the top of your mat, standing nice and tall in mountain pose. Inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms, hop or step back into plank. Take your chaturanga or knees, chest, chin. So if you're taking knees, chest, chin, you're actually going to go drop your knees, bringing your chest down, and then finally your chin. Then we're pressing away from the mat, extending our arms, broadening the shoulders, upward facing dog. Exhale, lift the hips, untuck the toes, downward facing dog. Find your breath here for 3 breaths. Now on your next inhale, we bend the knees. And we're walking to the top of our mat. Lifting to halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees, rise to standing. Inhale, arms to the sky, palms together. Exhale as we bring them down to heart center. That was round 2 of your sun salutations. So now we're going to do it one more time, a little bit faster, and then we'll do 3 to 4 rounds together. So starting in mountain. Now, I don't know about you, but all this moving around, I need a little bit of a cleansing breath. So let's take a cleansing breath. That feels much better. Okay. Inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms. Step back to plank. Hold your breath. Exhale. Come down to the mat, either chaturanga or knees, chest, chin. Inhale, press away from the mat, extending both arms, broadening the shoulders. Thighs are either touching the mat or lifted. It's okay if they're touching the mat for just starting out. You're learning. You will eventually come here as you expand on your practice. Exhale, lift the hips, untuck the toes, coming into our downward facing dog. Feeling that pinch in the hamstrings, we're bending the knees. Coming back to our breath. Bend the knees and walk to the top of your mat into forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, into forward fold. Resting here for a moment. Inhale, bending the knees, rising to standing into our mountain pose. Inhale, arms to the sky, palms together. Exhale, bringing them down to heart center. Okay, so there you go. Now you've had your demonstration. We've talked about when to do our inhales, when to do our exhales within our practice here. So now let's do 3 rounds together. Because of time, we'll do 3 rounds of our sun salutations at a little faster pace. Again, don't focus so much on what it looks like right now. Focus more on matching the movement to your breath. So if you breathe a little bit slower than me, that's okay. Take your movements to match your breath, not mine. Okay? So let's go ahead and do 3 rounds here, and then I will show you a modification to do it on your knees, and then we'll wrap up, okay? So coming to the top of your mat, standing nice and tall. Feet are together or slightly apart. Arms are down by our sides, palms facing out or by your thighs. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. Okay, now that we've taken our cleansing breath, here we go. Inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant both of your palms, step back into plank. Hold the breath. Exhale, chaturanga or knees, chest, chin, coming down to the mat. Inhale, pressing away from the mat, extending both of your arms, broadening the shoulders into our upward facing dog. Exhale, lift the hips, untuck the toes, coming into downward facing dog. Feel free to bend the knees slightly if you need here. Coming back to our breath for 3 deep inhales. Two. One more. Inhale, bend the knees, walk towards the front of your mat. Legs together, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bending the knees, rising to standing. Exhale into that mountain pose. Inhale, arms to the sky, palms together. Exhale, bringing them to heart center. Round one complete. Inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale as we fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift, palms on the shins. Exhale, plant the palms on your mat. Step back into plank, holding the breath. Exhale as we come down to the mat. Inhale, extending through both of your arms, broadening those shoulders into upward facing dog. Exhale, lifting, untucking the toes, downward facing dog. Remember to pull the shoulders away from your ears, slightly bending those knees if you need to. Coming back to your breath. Bend the knees, walk to the top of your mat into forward fold. Halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees, rise to standing. Adjusting your clothes if you need to. This is why you wear comfortable clothes. Inhale, arms to the sky, palms together as you exhale, bringing them down to heart center. Round two of sun salutations complete. Let's do it one more time, this time just a little bit faster. Feeling that heat on our body. Inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, palms on the shins. Exhale, planting both palms on your mat, stepping back into plank, holding that breath. Exhale, coming down to the mat. Inhale, pressing away from the mat, extending both of those hands, shoulders are broad, upward facing dog. Exhale, lift those hips, untuck those toes, coming into downward facing dog. Deep inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And this time we're dropping down to our knees, sitting, untucking the toes, sitting back on our heels, grabbing our block if we need to for our child's pose. Remembering to spread your knees as far as you need to, coming down to the mat, allowing your forehead to reach a blanket, a block, or maybe you're able to come all the way down to the mat with your forehead. Into child's pose, our final resting pose of our brief little practice today. Remembering to come back to the breath, focusing on those deep inhales to a count of 4, maybe 5, following with a deep exhale with the same count as your inhale. Remember, you don't want to be holding tension anywhere, so make sure that you're adjusting yourself to where you're fully resting in this pose. And when you're ready, come back up. And there you have it. Now you have learned how to match your breath with your movement. You've learned sun salutations A today, so that's a little extra bonus. Now let's briefly go through the modifications, and it looks like we're moving into a 20-minute video here. So those sun salutations can be done on your knees. So, and we'll do this very briefly because of time. So you can start on your knees here. If you're feeling a little discomfort under your knees, feel free to put a blanket under your knees, whatever works for you. So you could be standing or kneeling here. Inhale, arms to the sky. And you could either choose to come back, sit down on your heels, come to a child's pose, or arms to the sky. You could come down to an all-fours position. On that exhale, on your inhale, tuck the toes. Exhale, sit. Inhale, lift, push back, and then start to walk out your downward facing dog. Drop to the knees. Coming back up, arms up, down to heart center. So there are many ways that you can practice downward facing dog. So there you have it. You have a few modifications there that will really help you practice implementing your breathing in that movement without overworking yourself if you found that those standing poses were a little bit too much today. So I hope you found this helpful. Come back tomorrow where we talk about more daily tips to help you get started. And I believe we're working on patience tomorrow, just having patience with your practice. So don't forget to follow my page, subscribe to my channel if you liked what you saw here today so that you are kept up to date on any upcoming daily tips that I share with you guys. If you also like guided meditations, yoga classes, you'll also find that on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much again for joining me today. I hope to hear from you and how your practice is going, what it looks like for you, and I will talk to you tomorrow with our next daily tip. Until then, namaste.